Hey everybody, this is Ronnie again. This is going to be a kind of a voiceover because when I recorded this somehow it got muted. Now what I'm doing right here, I've just put the right side brake pads on. So I'm telling you to check and make sure that it didn't push out any brake fluid on that side. We're fixing to put the right side on. I'm telling you about the brakes and what would happen. Now here I'm getting under the left hand side. I'm telling you about, again, putting the jack under the frame, and I've got my jack stand to the side and I'm pulling, getting her up in the air. You only need to go up as high as you need. You don't have to try to take and put the car all the way up. My wife is my videographer today, and she is taking and selling something. I don't know what she's saying now. I don't remember, but she's saying something. And here I am test fitting my jack stand. I still don't have it up high enough. Thought I might when I was laying there. So you see me just jack it up a little bit more, and there we go. And I'm almost there. Let's see. Yep, just about. I did leave one thing out on the other side at the first of the video on this on when I did the right hand side. I said that to take a little up there, I'll just put the jack down on the jack stand. And you always leave the jack sitting under there just in case something were to happen, especially like those Harbor Freight jack stands. You know, when they were breaking, you don't want that to break, so it gives you an extra safety device. My cheap impact gun that my wife got me for Christmas a few years ago, for some reason it's not working real good. So you're going to see me try it, and I've just given up on it. This car does have lug nuts with a cover on them, and anybody knows after a while they can get pretty bad. And the wheels haven't been off this car in a long time. So these alloy wheels, they can take and be a pain in the butt to take off. So now you're going to see me take and get a ratchet and a socket. And then I'm going to use my jack handle as a lever and take them off because I don't have my breaker bar or anything, and I don't feel like getting the tire tool out. There you see me hitting because of those chrome caps, popping it on a little bit more. So I'm trying the impact again. It's just not working. I don't remember how many times I tried it. There we go. So now make sure it's on. Get my ratchet on. And this is stuff I just keep in emergencies. Alright. Take my jack handle off. And since there's no weight on the jack handle, it's not a problem. And this lug nut really did not want to come loose. So usually I can just pop them loose like that, but not today. So now you're going to see my big butt get up and take and have to pick up on it. Actually here I'm going to try to push it up, but I got too much slop in it. Now whoops, what had happened there? So now I took and I'm still thinking about it. It's a little bit annoying. But when I said in the first video, you don't take brake fluid out. I said to take brake fluid out. I misspoke. You only take brake fluid out if you can't, if you're going to run it over. Because once you pull the, push the pistons back in, it's going to take up the area where you would put fluid in. So you need to take it out, otherwise it's going to push it out the top. Now this particular car does not have an easy to read master cylinder. It's got a check engine light on it. Oh, here I'm changing sockets And yeah, I'm changing sockets because that one, it just didn't, it's a cheap Chinese socket. And this one is a little bit better, and there we go, you can see it, there we go, snaps loose. Didn't break or nothing, just broke loose. Alright, now I got to take and do the others. But like I was saying, the brake fluid, you're going to want to take and do that. But if you don't have it over full, then you shouldn't have to worry about it. You'll be just fine to push it back in. Like I was saying in the other video, it is an enclosed system. The only way that's going to that anything can happen is for a leak, or that you need fluid is for a leak, or the pads get wore, which is why people generally put it in. The one thing you do have to remember too, brake fluid is hygroscopic. Hygroscopic means that it absorbs water. Okay, that's why brake systems rust quite often, because the brake fluid is old, and brake fluid honestly should be changed. It should be changed a lot more than anybody ever does. Very few people change brake fluid, but it needs to be changed. The only way to do it, the best way I've found to do it, is just bleed the brakes with somebody and take and suck it all out. Or not suck it out, push it all out. And then you do that, and you keep fresh fluid in. Fresh fluid that doesn't absorb, that hasn't absorbed water. Now once brake fluid absorbs water, it will rust from the inside out. And that's the reason if you see a car with older brake fluid than the master cylinder, and it's dark, that's where it's eating up your rubber hoses and rubber seals, and it's also rusting, and neither one is good. You can really keep your calipers, your wheel seals, and everything. And here I'm just putting to whip it off real fast. Just put the impact back on it. But now I'm telling I don't remember what I'm saying here. I'm talking about it. Now I haven't been a professional mechanic in 35 years. Putting my jack handle back in, that way I don't have to go looking for it or nothing. So I'm not going to use it to tighten my lug nuts when I get done. Just needed to break them loose. So I don't remember what I'm saying here, and I'm not real good at reading lips. Alright, let's pull the tire off. And this is the side that was bad. It wore out first. Generally, with all brakes, one side will wear out before the other, but they were both wore. This one just happened to wear out more than the other. So I'm looking at it, and we're going to do it just like the other side. I'm fixing to get up here. Alright, there I go. We're going to turn the steering wheel. We're going to turn the wheel over to the left hand side. There we go. That way you can reach everything. And we do it just like we did on the other side. We're going to take and slide the caliper in against the rotor so that the piston's all the way in. And then we're going to take, I forgot a thing or two on the other side. This is what I'm going to go get now. There, my drill with the wire brush on it. And I showed you in the other video what you do with it. And that's for when you get ready to put it back together. So here we go. I'm taking my screwdriver, and I don't have a big enough C-clamp, so since we're replacing the rotors anyways, see, I pushed the caliper, the piston in, and I'm pointing at it. There we go. It's going in, and all the fluid in that caliper is headed back up that line into the master cylinder. And if your master cylinder was over full, it would push it out the top. If you were taking and had the other side off, it could push the other piston out of the other caliper. But anyways, I'm fixing to be done with this. For some reason I don't have any sound. So love one another, like, share, subscribe, do all the things you need to do. Thank you. I'll talk to you later. Bye. All right, here we go. And I'm telling you about the brake pad here, how I pushed it in, how the pad is wore the caliper. And I've got a 14 millimeter socket and a ratchet. You want to take and break those loose before you do anything. Break them loose, and you want to take them out by hand if you can. You should be able to, if nobody's messed it up, because if they're hard to come out, there's a reason for that. All right, you don't want them to be hard to come out. See, these came out like butter. All right, see, there you go. You see them doing. Comes out, and let's see. Oh, I'm using that's one of those ratchets that has the twist thing. So I'm using that to do it off. And all right, I set the caliper off to the back to the side. You can use a coat hanger, a piece of wire, anything else to hang it up if you don't have a place for it. You can see how that pad is. Now I went ahead and popped that out so that you'd see it. Before, the other side, I just took the whole caliper mount off. Well, this one here, I'm trying to reach the brake pad where it popped out because it's under spring pressure. There you go. See, the rivets have gone in. And basically my mother drove it a little too far. So, but it doesn't really matter, because anytime you do a brake job, even if the excuse me, even if the pads aren't wore completely out, just go ahead and replace your rotors. It's much better. You should either have your rotors replaced or turned, and there's not many people that return rotors now. Used to, every parts store did, but not anymore. And I think that's what I'm saying here, something about that. But you take them off. And I'm talking to my wife about something. Or actually, I'm talking to y'all about it. And she's my videographer today. She's a great wife. All right, now I've got my 15 millimeter on. You got to take the caliper bracket off. All right, so there I broke it. Break it loose here. Boom. And this ratchet you can take and twist. And there it goes. See, I'm twisting it. So that's why it looks weird. It's a odd ratchet to use, but it's just something I keep in the truck in order to do repairs like this where I'm not at home. If I'm at home, I use my better tools just like anybody else would. But I didn't want to load up the whole toolbox and everything when I already had my little repair bag, ready. All right, there I've got the caliper bracket off. There goes the rotor. You can see the condition of it. And I just toss it over to the side. There we go. And my wife's doing that. My videographer. There's the new rotor. Oh, it had been raining a little bit right there at the end before I got this done. So that's what was going on there. All right, I brought this separate, my welding cleaning brush, and it's really, really stiff, just to give me something else to do. Now what I'm doing here, I'm using my drill with the wire brush on it to clean this off real good, because I'm going to show you in a minute. It's going to be, I'll bring the camera over by from my wife. I get it myself like I am right here. All right, there we go. You see all that rust right there? You want that off. All right. That was caked up and starting to flake, and you just want to get that off, because it will take, and the pieces, especially you guys, you people up north, they'll rust together. You'll never get them apart. I have seen things so rusted together they didn't come apart, and you don't want to be having to replace the rotor and the hub, because you start replacing the hub, the rotor, and potentially the axle. It gets really expensive. Yes, I know I should be wearing shoes or something, but I wear steel-toed boots 50 to 60 hours a week at work, not to mention driving home to and fro. I just can't do it all the time. I just got to be a little free. All right, now I've taken my rag. I've taken wiping it off. If I had remembered and gotten my brake cleaner, I would have taken and just sprayed it off too. There I'm getting where my wire brush can't get. The wire brush on the drill, and that's between the lug nut, those lug studs, and the hub. So getting that done. All right, I'm telling you about that. You can see where the dust has gone down there. All right, I'm showing you the rotor. I'm not the rotor, but the caliper bracket. I'm pulling the clips out of it. Pop them out. And yes, a decent sized screwdriver really does help. Just pop them out. You're not looking for a pry bar. You're just popping things out. All right, now I'm cleaning this off. You want your mating surfaces to be clean. All right. The other parts about it, the actual frame, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you can spend hours cleaning on it, but you want your mating surfaces and the surfaces that your pads follow and where it slides, because the way that caliper works and the bracket, as your brake pads wear, your caliper moves closer and closer in. Your piston comes further and further out. And these are called floating calipers for a reason, because the caliper actually floats on the bracket. The cars have been built this way for, I know, since they started putting disc brakes on cars. Same disc brakes on a Ford F-150 or a car that had a drive-in wedge with a anchor bolt. Same way. The General Motors that had the calipers that take and just go down and have the brake, a clamp up top and a clamp up on the bottom. The same way. It just floats there. That's why it's called a floating caliper. So you want to get the mating surfaces clean so that the caliper can slide smooth. That's why you put the grease on there too. Now most brake shoes, or not shoes, most brake pads come with grease already, and the little packet like I had. And you can see the rotor, how good it looks, and how thick it is compared to the other one that I took off, especially on that inside surface. It doesn't take long to wear a rotor out. Now, you can still stop, and you will stop with a bad rotor, but I have seen rotors, people drive rotors so long that they hear them and they basically turn the radio up, and the rotor and the hat, with the hat is the part where the lug nuts are, they take and are no longer one piece. That rotor is forged, but Well, it may be forged. I don't know exactly how it's made, but it's cast as one piece. Now here I am putting the caliper bracket back on. Alright. Now, like I told you in the other video, I'm putting these bolts in finger tight. I'm running them in as far as I can with my fingers. Alright. Get them in. Because if you take and cross thread or mess them up, you're going to have to take and get that bracket. That bracket is not generally a repair item. Okay, it'll come generally with a caliper. A lot of times, I know it does on Nissans. It'll come with a caliper, but by the same token, the caliper is in good shape. You just need that bracket. Now you can go to a junkyard and get it for probably $5, but you're going to have to tear the car down at the junkyard and everything and spend your time. How much time is how much money is your time worth? Alright. Now I've told you here too, I've never used a torque wrench for one of these. Alright. Now I guess if I was working on high end, BMWs, Mercedes or something like that, I might, but I've never ever had a problem with it. Alright. Just get it good and snug. It's probably going up to 35 to 50 pounds of torque. And, that's just from my not seat of the pants, but seat of the hand feel. There's is that the grease I got right there, or is that the anti-rattle clip? I don't know which. I didn't see it, but we'll just see what happens. So anyways, it's ready. Everything is ready to go back on. And truthfully, you can have a set of brake pads and rotors on a car like this if you're not talking and filming in under an hour, and just pop them on. And if you can pop the tires off that quick, get it jacked up, you always use a jack stand. All right. You never want to get up under a car. You see how I'm sitting there with my feet under the car or under the wheel? Well, if that car were to come down, if I didn't have a jack stand under it, and the jack is secondary, I'm sitting there, my feet are getting crushed. My legs are getting crushed, and here we are. So you always want to do that. I cannot stress that too much. I might take in slack on the footwear and things like that, but I can deal with a cut. I can deal with a piece of metal with dirty feet. I can't deal with a car on top of me. I'm stronger. I'm strong enough. Back when I was young, I was really strong. All right, there I am putting the grease on there. Like I told you, you want those pads to slide on that caliper bracket with ease. So I've got the anti-rattle clips in. I'm making sure there's no grease on that rotor. I'm going to be driving this car anyways, by the way, because my truck gets about 13 miles to the gallon. That's the black truck on the other side. This car probably gets about 30. And I'm driving 40, 45 miles one way every day to work. So it gets kind of expensive. And I don't want to keep putting the miles on my wife's car. Now here I'm trying to push this in. Alright, now those clips there, I'm fixing to tell you about them. These pads have got the clips that keep it from rattling, and it's also got a piece of metal that wears against the rotor when it gets low enough. When it gets low enough, it will take and squeal. All right, the piece of metal is not hard enough to hurt the rotor. So I'm trying to get that on. I'm having to put pressure on because it's spring loaded. Having to put pressure and get that pad in. Now it kind of looks like I don't know what I'm doing, but I do. So I'm pushing up on the tab there on the anti-rattle clip. I'm pushing up on it because they don't fit in until they've been pushed in tight. They don't push in real easy. They'll fall out real easy until you've got pressure on them. Then once they've cycled through, they'll stay in forever until you pop them out once you pull the chute pads out. But got that one in. Now I'm doing the other one. I'm fixing to show you, as I remember, the wear tab on the other inside pad. Here we go. That pad right there is a wear tab. It's not the one up top. There's the wear tab right there. When it gets to a certain level, it starts rubbing against the rotor. When it rubs against the rotor, it squeals. All right. The other ones there, the clips up top, those are basically another anti-rattle clip. And to keep the, if you don't have those, the pads will move around, and you can also, get in a bind. Well, I don't know if they get in a bind, to be quite honest, but they'll rattle around. And who wants to be driving along and, and with the window down or anything else, and here your brake pads are loose and they're rattling around. That's why they don't want to do that. Nobody wants to hear that. It won't affect the drivability as far as the stopping ability, but it is, real sloppy. So here we go. I'm fixing to get these in. I've got like 7 minutes left in this video I'm looking at right now. I'm using my screwdriver, push it up, pushing the clip up, and spring pressure. There we go. Got them in there. Now those springs are trying to push the pads back off, but they're there, and you just got to hold them for a second and get them in. You go ahead, and I should have cleaned this caliper off before I put the pads on, but I'm just doing it real quick, because if you were to take and hit the pads, the pad will pop out because it's under spring pressure, and you just have to go through it again, which is not a big deal. So here you see me running the drill, putting it on there, getting it cleaned off. You're trying to get every bit of loose rust and scale off. And it's like I told you with the other, you can use a drill with a wire brush. Now, ordinarily I would have had brake parts cleaner, and I didn't get this piston, the caliper piston, in all the way. It was out maybe a millimeter or two. That's why I'm having a little trouble getting it on, but there, I got it on there. And now again, I'm taking the bolts, and I'm going to put them in. Oh wait, that's right, I didn't get it all the way on there. I just had to give it a quick nudge. All right, that came on the bottom. Got a little bit off. That's why you saw me move it around. Those nuts and everything that it screws into are floating. So the calipers are not, like I told you, they're floating calipers. They are not fixed. So you couldn't have them fixed, because the wheel has to move and the caliper has to move independently of each other. Rear brake calipers are the same way, so it doesn't matter. Anyways, I'm going to take my 14 millimeter socket, and I'm going to take and tighten that up. I've already done the others. There we go. Okay, just give it a quick little nudge. I put them in, I'm putting it up about 35 or so pounds. I don't know how much it's supposed to be, but I'm old school. Didn't nobody ever use a torque wrench for something this minor. And I believe in torque wrenches, and there are places that torque wrenches need to be used, but something like this, it ain't that big a deal. Unless you got a car that's real super finicky, BMW, Mercedes, McLaren, or some, crap car like that, then something like that. If I was in a shop, I might use a torque wrench. But like I say, I'm going to be driving this car. Me and my wife gave this car to my mother a few years ago. It had been my wife's car. She bought it brand new. And we got my wife another car, and, well, my mother needed a car. All right, now what I'm doing right here, I'm looking up at the master cylinder, making sure that we haven't pushed listen to me, brake fluid back out. Now I'm going here, I'm going to open the door, all right, and I'm pushing the brake pedal down. I'm doing this because on a disc brake car, you have that, when you push it, there we go, pushing it in, see it go all the way to the floor. There, and the second time, it's up higher. That's because it's taking the space out. So the piston on the caliper is taking all that space, because people have taken and you always take and push the brake pedal before. Because people have taken and hit the brake pedal or put it in gear before hitting the brake pedal, and it winds up taking and not stopping until it pushes out, and then they'll slam into something. There's my lovely wife. She's my videographer. Hi. Ain't she great? But anyways, I'm telling her how great she is, and she knows it. And anyways, I'm fixing to ask you to like, share, subscribe. Take a look at some other videos where I'm teaching myself how to weld. And I'm fixing to be starting to build my cars again. And love one another. Work on your cars. Fix them. And drive them. God bless. And here we go. Okay, everybody. Well, here we are doing the test drive. And one thing you always do before you're done is you test drive the car at the end. All right. Now, you always take and test drive. If you're doing your car, a nice car, somebody's car, wash up beforehand. I'm sweaty and everything. Like I say, this is basically my car. I'm coming to the top of the driveway. I'm listening for anything that might sound weird, because believe it or not, the weird things happen. You're trying to bed your brake pads into your rotors. This is the first time they've ever met. I'm pulling down the road and drive. Oh, that's the driveway. Okay, looking to make sure ain't nobody coming. I'm talking something about that same thing. I don't know why in the world this thing, it must have had the microphone turned off. So that's what we're doing, a complete voiceover in this one. And here we go. I'm driving, turning out onto the road. I believe, yeah, here we go. All right, I always do start and stops real sudden before I go out, because you don't want to take and find you starting, get out on the road and find that you can't stop. I'm riding the brakes a little bit right now, running about 30 miles an hour. There we go. I stopped. I'm just testing it, seeing how it sounds, seeing how it feels. Typically, when you take and put a new set of brake pads on, until your pads get bedded into the rotors, which they bed together, they become one unit. The pedal will be kind of soft. it'll feel kind of funny. Get a little heat into them, and they'll work just fine, especially after a few miles. That's why very few people come back saying, my brakes feel weird. Alright, I'm hitting the gas pretty hard, speeding up about 35, 40 mile an hour, and I'm just slamming on the brakes now. Okay, right now I'm just riding the brakes. Get a little heat built up in them, just ride the brakes. Alright, I'm coming up. Let's see, I'm stopping now. There we go. I'm going to take and wait for, instead of just turning out, I'm going to get a good solid space. And now I'm going. Alright, I can accelerate pretty hard. This ain't no race car or nothing. But you accelerate pretty hard, and there we go. I got nothing behind me. I can see my rear view mirror, holding the camera. There you can see I'm running about 40 mile an hour. That's why I turned it over there to it. And I hit the brakes again. And now I'm riding the brakes a little bit. I remember what I was doing. I'm just going around the block. I want to make sure that everything's fine, because my wife can't drive my truck. So before we go home, she was going to be driving this car home, so I'm definitely going to make sure. And I'm accelerating pretty hard. There we go, slam on the brakes. You can see how hard I hit them. Alright, turn back on the same road. Like I say, just went around the block. Running down pretty good. Alright, hit the brakes. There we go. And slamming them on pretty good. And we're just about done with this test drive. But you always want to take and before you work on a car, test drive it, or unless you know the problem. And then when you get done test drive it to make sure that you've got it fixed right. But anyways, this is the end of the video completely. So like, share, subscribe, watch my other videos. Love one another, and y'all be good.